What's up, gearheads? It's Trev, and today at the garage we're going to be doing a wheel bearing. So a lot of times when you have a wheel bearing go bad, one way to tell is it sounds like there's a helicopter riding in your vehicle with you. You get that wum 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 kind of noise. This is not doing that. I hear a lot of noise, but then again, I got mud tires on too, and they make a ton of noise. However, I'm getting this squeaking noise, and in trying to diagnose the squeaking noise, my buddy and I found this. And I don't know if you can hear it or not, or see it in the GoPro, but if you can hear that little bit of thunking, that's the wheel bearing moving around. I can grab this wheel and actually move it in and out with an up and down motion. I can't really do side to side. Up and down I can. Now we checked the ball joints, we checked the tie rods, we made sure they were good. It's definitely a wheel bearing. The last time I was out wheeling, I took a pretty good hit right over here. I don't know how well you can see it, but I had to touch up that portion of the wheel. You'll notice it's not perfectly round anymore. I took a chunk out. So I might have damaged the wheel bearing when I took that hit against the rock that was under the mud. So now, I'm gonna pull the wheel, take the brakes apart, get the wheel bearing off, and we're gonna change it out. So I've got my new hub and bearing assembly right here. As you can see, it comes with new studs, whole hub, bearing. It's all one unit on these TJs. I think the YJs are the same way. Makes it a little expensive, but I suppose it makes it pretty easy to change. Don't have to do it too often. I mean, the brake rotors are nice and easy to change with this setup, but I really think I'd prefer the old-fashioned style where you disassemble it and just re-grease your bearings, but whatever. Factory must have done it this way for a reason, right? So to change that out, it's held in by three 12-point bolts that are 13 millimeter. So those, sprayed them down with PB Blaster. You got 1, 2, 3, and then on the back side, as you can see, 1, 2, and then the other side. Those are your 3 bolts. Pretty long, come all the way through. So the 2 lower bolts, I really just had to work in and out, in and out, in and out, and keep spraying them down with PB Blaster, and I got them out. It didn't take too long. You do want to be careful, though. These bolts, as you can see, they like to rust up and get dirty. You want to take your time, because the last thing you want with this job is a broken bolt. It's a pain in the ass enough. This one is really stuck. This one I'm going to take some heat to. So before doing that, I'm going to take the axle nut off, so this way once I do get that top bolt out, I can knock the whole thing right off. So we're going to pull this cotter pin cap, get the axle nut off, and then we should be good to attack this top bolt. A couple of quick tips, guys. 1, PB Blaster is your friend. 2, when you take this castle nut off, don't lose your spring clip. 3, most importantly, I'm using an impact gun on this. If you don't have access to an impact gun, when you go to turn this, the whole thing's going to turn, okay? Best way to do it, if you don't have access to impact, take the center cap out of your wheel. Bolt your wheel back on at this point. Then, through the wheel, with the center cap off and with all this apart, you should have access to this nut. You put the Jeep back down on the ground, break it loose with the 36 millimeter axle nut and a breaker bar. And then you should be able to take the wheel back off and finish taking everything apart by hand. But since I have air tools, it's a little quicker. Let me tell you guys something. That is really hot right now. That's the most patient I've ever been with a bolt. I could have time-lapsed how long I was heating this thing and twisting it back and forth. Didn't matter. It broke. So now I gotta try and find one of these freaking bolts. Gloves on gloves to grab that sucker. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can clean up my backing plate. Clean all this crap up, and then I gotta find a bolt. So with everything apart, I pulled my axle out, and guess what else? That works that way, but not that way. Actually, it's got some play. So I need a new U-joint as well. I think a couple of years ago I replaced the right side. I know I did one side, I just couldn't remember which side I did. So it must have been the right side, since this hub gave me so much trouble coming out, and since the U-joint's screwed. So one of the two of those I sure as hell hope is my squeaking noise. But now, add one more thing to the list. Alright, well, now that I got that busted hub finally out of there, I had to let this thing sit a few days because I had to order new bolts because one of the bolts broke. So I figured I'd get all three. Now we're ready to roll. We got our new U-joint in here, so that's no longer locking up. Got our new hub. I'm going to apply a little bit of grease in the steering knuckle here, just to keep this thing from seizing up, possibly. Gonna slide our new hub right on in. New bolts go in from behind. Except before I do that, I'm gonna take this apart again and remember to put my backing plate on. Get the axle nut back on. Get the cotter pin back in there. Now we're ready for our brakes. Alright, so now the U-joint, U-hub, all back together. Take it for a test trip. I'll talk to you guys later.